welcome back. I'm super excited for the video that we're doing today. If you couldn't tell by the title, it's going to be super exciting. My husband Jeff, his parents are named Jeff and Selena, and their anniversary is tomorrow. So us awesome kids and kid-in-laws have planned to redo their bedroom for them, unbeknownst to them. So we are going to redo everything in their room except for the floors, which is like this pinkish red like 80s carpet that is going to play into the design, hopefully. This is like the coolest project ever. I'm super stoked for what we're going to do, and I just like cannot wait to get in there and get going. We have a lot to do in a little amount of time. Me and Jeff bought a bunch of stuff to do projects with. We're back at the store getting more things.
She's going to make something for my parents. Ooh.
And the majority of the decor pieces are in Megan's car, and I'll show you all that stuff tomorrow. But right now I'm going to show you what we got, and then I'm going to show you how I'm doing a couple cute little decor pieces around their room, and how I'm doing it with just some stuff laying around. So let's go. Real quick, I'm gonna run through what we got and how we're using it. So here's kind of what most of the room is based around. She like really wanted a quilt, Megan was telling me, so we went and we found one that Megan thought she would really like. See if you can see that it's got some like dark rose colors, some pink, white, gray, and I thought it was cool because that dark red color would tie into the carpet. So we kind of went with all of that. And then aside from this, I tried to bring in more warm tone colors like tans and brown and stuff like that. The biggest project I think we have, one of the biggest projects, is we're taking their furniture and redoing it. So they've got a long dresser and a tall dresser. We're gonna sand all of it down, make sure it's nice and smooth, get all that paint off, and then we're gonna stain it with this whitewashed wood. And then we're replacing all the hardware with these. So it's that like copper and black that I think is gonna go really well with the copper flecks in this wood and this hammered copper spray paint that I bought to do a couple projects with. Yeah, without further ado, let's get into the projects. So this one's an 8x10. I got a 5x7 and 4 4x6s. There's some of that like copper in there with the dark wood, and then this is more of like a white and gray wood. Kind of pieced together like this photo wall that has some of this stuff in it as well. So I'm coming to you a few months in the future when I'm finally editing this video, and there's just a few things that I wanted to say about the DIYs that we were doing for Jeff and Selena's room. So for the first one was the photo wall. Some tips that I have for you guys is to make sure that when you're laying it all out for how you're going to put it up on your wall, make sure you're balancing the colors and the frames and the portrait if it's like vertical or horizontal. And the same thing goes with the graphics and the different sayings. If there's certain colors in the graphics, you want to balance that with other colors that you're also putting in the other pictures. And then the last thing I was going to say is also do that with the composition of what you're putting on the wall. You don't want a bunch of your home pictures and then a bunch of sayings and graphics. You want them all kind of mixed together to create like one big piece that kind of all cohesively works together on the wall. On to the second DIY. We're gonna take some mason jars that I had lying around. I'm going to use this same spray paint. I'm gonna give it a coat, and then I'm gonna fill it with some flowers, like leftover stems that I've had sitting around. Not real ones, fake ones, and then that can be a piece of decor. I might tie some string around it. You know, we're just gonna go with it. We're gonna use mostly all white and green. And then we're gonna put a little lavender in there, I think. Okay, so my only tip for the mason jar decor is if you're going to be using the same type of spray paint that I use, where it's like that copper, like hammered, I would allow a lot of time for it to dry because it is a lot more sticky and tacky than regular spray paint. And the only other thing I wanted to say about the mason jars is when you're putting those flowers in there, make sure that they'll work for you all year round if you plan on having them in your decor all year round. So for this, I use mostly just whites and greenery because I knew like come Christmas time, if they want to put like a little Christmas tree with like bulbs and stuff in their room or something like that, I didn't want it to clash by having all these like pink and purple flowers in there. I only put a little bit of lavender so it's not that noticeable, and if they wanted to take it out, they could. So I'm on to my last project. So this one I'm most excited for. Jeff and Selena's anniversary is May 19th of 1990. So I decided to make them like this focal piece of their anniversary to make these look a little weathered. I'm gonna do like a wash of like a brownish color. I originally wanted to do coffee, but we don't have any made, and it is currently 10:30 at night, so I probably shouldn't be making any coffee right now. Pour some into this container. I've got these watercolors here. This one is the color Burnt Sienna. And then the other color that I'm using is Yellow Ochre. So I just grabbed a paper towel and then dunked it in there, let it drip off, and then just pat all over. When you're doing the actual papers and making it look kind of weathered, if that's something that you want to do, make sure you test out that color that you're mixing with the water paints and make sure that it's the right vibe before you just like ruin your papers with it. Sorry, future Eden, who's editing. I bought these wooden, they're like kind of square, I don't know if that's technically a dowel. Jeff cut them in half for me. I'm just gonna sand down the edges so that I can stain them. The wood finish that I'm using is Minwax in Provincial 211. We wait for these to dry and then I'll show you what we're gonna do next. The last thing to do is to glue them. Glue it like this, and then also one on the bottom, and then put a string on the top and hang them like some banners. Last tip for the big banners that we put on the wall is when you are doing the staining of the dowels, make sure you have gloves on because it will stain. Sanding is definitely really important. And then the absolute last thing is when you're putting those strings on, you have to kind of wrap it and then pretend like you're gonna wrap the other side to make sure that the string on top is the right length. So if you just like glue and then go for it, you may have cut the string wrong and blah, blah, blah. So I just made sure I checked it before I glued it, and that we hung them up and they ended up perfect. So those are my tips. Take two. Good morning. Whatever. Well,
happy anniversary!
Happy anniversary to you.
Oh my goodness, this is beautiful.